All right, so in this video here, we're going to be reviewing some of the operations we commonly see with fractions. We'll be going over reducing, adding fractions with different denominators, and then multiplying a whole number times a fraction. So let's get into this. So here we're going to reduce 21 over 14. So when we reduce fractions, we're looking for the biggest number that divides both the numerator, 21, and the denominator, 14. So in this case here, the biggest number that divides them both is 7. So we're going to remove a factor of 7 from both the numerator and the denominator, or divide 7 to both. So here we go. 21 divided by 7 makes 3. And then 14 divided by 7 makes 2. And there's the reduced form of 21 over 14. It's 3/2. Here we're going to reduce, if possible, 5 over 6. Now remember, when we reduce fractions, we're looking for the biggest number that divides both the numerator 5 and the denominator 6. There is no number other than 1, so this one is already reduced. No reducing necessary. Here we're going to simplify or add 3/4 plus 2/5. Now we're not doing this the elementary school method with least common denominators and all that type of stuff. We're going to use the addition algorithm. So first up, we're going to multiply the diagonals. So that's going to be 3 times 5 makes 15, and then 4 times 2 makes 8. And then we're going to do this to both of those numbers. So 15 plus 8. We're going to add those two together. Okay, so again, multiply the diagonals. That's a 15, 3 times 5, and 4 times 2 is an 8. And we're holding these numbers in our brain. Now we're going to add them up, and that's going to make 23. So that's our new numerator or top number for our answer. Now for the denominator, we're going to multiply the two denominators here. 4 and 5 being multiplied makes 20. And that's all there is to it for adding or subtracting. If you're subtracting, you just change this to a minus if that's a minus there. So that's all there is to it for adding fractions. So this method does work best when your denominators are mutually prime. Now, if you have something like a 5 and a 15 where one of the denominators is a multiple of the other one, it will be faster just to use the least common denominator method, because then you'll have smaller numbers and you won't have to reduce. And then hopefully it goes without saying that when the denominators match, when you have like denominators, you just add the two numerators together. So here we go. We're going to add 2/3 plus 1/5, doing it the fast way. So remember, we're going to multiply the diagonals. So that's a 2 times 5 makes 10. And so we hold that number in our brain. And then we're going to do 3 times 1 makes 3. And then we're going to do this operation to both of those. Okay, so that's going to be a plus. So again, if this is a minus, then you'd put a minus there instead. So again, 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 1 is 3. Add them up, and it equals 13. And then for the denominator, you just multiply the two denominators together. 3 times 5 is 15. So 2/3 plus 1/5, 13 over 15. All right, so let's go ahead and simplify or multiply 20 times 3/5. So we have a whole number times a fraction. So this works, normally speaking, when the denominator divides into your whole number over here. So instead of thinking this is going to be 20 over 1, multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, we can just go straight to the easy method here. So we're going to divide by 5. And then we're going to multiply by 3. So here we go. So we're going to go 20 divided by 5, and that's going to make a 4. And we're doing this in our brain, and then multiply by 3. So we do 20 divided by 5 makes 4, and then multiply by 3, and that's going to make 12. 4 times 3, 12. Here we go. We're going to multiply 35 and 4/7. So the shortcut method for this, or the faster way of doing this, assuming this denominator divides into your whole number there, is you divide by 7 and then multiply by 4. Divide by the denominator, multiply by the numerator. So here we go. So we're going to start with 35 divided by 7 makes 5, and then times 4 makes 20. Okay, so divide by this number, multiply by this number. So just quick review here, when we divide fractions, we change it to multiply by the reciprocal. So we'll just do a quick example here. I know in middle school they'd call it keep, change, flip. So here we go. So we're going to start with 3/4, and then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 2/5. Reciprocal of 2/5 is 5/2. And now when we multiply fractions, it's just numerator times numerator. 3 times 5 makes 15. And then denominator times denominator, 4 times 2 makes 8. And that's how we divide fractions. We change it to multiply by reciprocals. So instead of divide 2/5, it's multiply 5/2. So here we go. Just a quick wrap up here. Whenever we multiply a whole number times a fraction, divide by the denominator, then multiply by the numerator. When we are adding fractions, multiply the diagonals. 3 times 5 plus 4 times 2 makes 23. And then for the denominator, 4 times 5 to make 20. And then for reducing, remember we're trying to find the biggest number that divides both the numerator and the denominator, and we're going to remove that factor or divide out that number from both.